Just thinking about someone I used to know. My cousin. The Queen, in fact. A tyrant. I tried to stop her, but things don't always go according to plan. She cast me out to a forgotten island, and made short work of my allies, too. Lucky for me, I was able to commandeer a ship, and began a new life for myself, out on the high seas. Aye, but I hear that the Queen is at it again. And there's something darker behind her madcap schemes this time. If I don't stop her, I don't know who will.
All my life, I've been a performer, a musician, beloved and celebrated by all. But I have a secret. I'm also a playground for sprites and spirits and... worse. The voice that rings inside me now is darker than any that came before. Almost caused a bunch of my fans to rip each other to pieces. But you can trust me. I've got this under control. Mind. Step 2, make it sorry it ever tried.
Oh, don't stare. How would you look after eons in some ghastly crypt? Your people are rather prone to death. Mine are not. Yet when I emerged from my completely unjustified imprisonment, I found them gone. Our culture forgotten. Any trace of the world I knew all but obliterated. I must even hide my true face beneath an ever-shifting mask for fear you savages will attack me. That is how I wander this strange world, trying to uncover the truth about a history you primitive people never even knew existed.
It all happened like I knew it would. A single drop of source magic. And, like flies to honey, the monsters swarmed. The rebel panicked. The carnage began. And the Magisters pointed their fingers at me. Just as I'd planned. I was shackled and collared, and sent to Fort Joy. I'd come here to kill Godwoken. But instead, I became part of their story.
So, still a bit groggy, are we? Don't worry, the sedative will wear off soon enough. Easy now. No need to hurry. Get your bearings and report to me upstairs.
What a dismal way to wake, in the belly of the beast. Let's see if I can grope my way out. Junk. Boring. An animal pen. How utterly charming. junk. I'll need to get clever with this lock.
The Magister Guard snorts and sniffles as he sleeps. You're almost impressed that one man can make such a phlegmy racket.
Oh, wait, you're no Magister. You're a sorcerer. What are you doing here, filthy elf? Choose your words carefully. My fists ache to meet a new face. Clever story. I should have known there'd be trouble.
So much for a peaceful stroll. No key? No problem. And I'm back where I started. Nowhere to go but up.
Hey, get me out of this cage and I'll make it worth your while. You in? Your guess is as good as mine. Someone screamed loud as a banshee. After that, pure pandemonium. They never even told me what I was accused of. Just dragged me down here. Set me free, and I'll set you free. A fair trade, I should think. Suit yourself. But we're all in the same boat here, so...
The prisoner's buoyant voice darkens.
Ah, freed. I'm nothing if not a man of my word. And I did give my word I'd...
No key? No problem. And I'm back where I started. Nowhere to go but up.
why you're looking a bit more chipper. Yes. Looks like that collar fits you snugly enough. Nice bit of work, even if I do say so myself. There you are. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash. In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the logs. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters.
Did the murderer take him into this room? Or was he already here?
Why? Because we're at sea, of course, and have been for several days.
Index fingers pressed to her lips, she pauses a moment to give you a scrutinizing gander.
My word, you do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps I was a bit too generous with that sedative. Oh, well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, all you need to know is that we're en route to Fort Joy. A new life awaits, and if you're a particularly good girl, perhaps a cure as well. An end to Source. For good. Why, for my peace of mind, of course. Why don't you try casting one of those Source spells of yours? See what happens.
Currents of magic surge inside you, boiling, bursting, then breaking, only to fade back into your soul like rain into the earth.
My, look at the concentration on your face. All will, but no result. There you have it. See? The collar's function. It neuters you of sorts. For your own peace of mind, of course. Yours.
Good gods. There's been a murder here.
I forgot how to sing. I did.
It was one of them. I know it.
Would you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to call.
Oh, there you are. Wife.
Care about us. We're like cattle to them.
Would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not at all brat-like babes that I am by no accounts this Losa woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deathly allergical. How very correct you are, spouse of mine. Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peeb refuses to be confused with anyone else.
What are you trying here anyway?
What? What's so funny?
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her with a laugh.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and git, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and ready.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flatly.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we? You presume right. Nope, trying not to find anything out either. Ignorance is bliss. The utterer, the better. Thanks, but I already belong to an elite and exclusive ship gang. We play ball every day after lunch. You're too soft for it. You take care, though.
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. Greyish veins run down her face, and her mouth tightens into a cruel sneer. As quickly as they came, the clouds clear. She smiles as though no change came over her.
They don't care about us.
Good luck, Chief.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
You think me mad?
Mad? No. Insufferable? Surely.
What are you
A
trying
broad
to
dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knees. His beard is a cascade of meticulous plaits, each one braided through with golden medallions. He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't open his eyes.
Listen up, Ghetto. You hear that? The ship, of course.
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you, complaints from the sea itself.
And?
The fellow cocks his ear, listening.
That isn't anger, it's
He cocks his ear to the other side, then smiles.
anticipation. She senses something. I'd hold on to my breeches if I were you, mate. That's all you hear, though. Listen close.
That right. I always knew you'd turn up rotten, Ben Mest.
There now, just like that.
Your kind of always hungry.
Squeak!
Aha!
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great paw claps you on the back. The other catches you before you lose your footing.
There, you heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, Ghetto. Good news. It's the wheel. The wheel. Don't you see, you beautiful idiot? Squeaks whenever the helmsman jerks it clockwise, which means we're heading east. Burn my beard. That means if we'd been travelling for, yes, only 10.34 nautical miles to Fort Joy. Yeah, no indeed, Ghetto. But that ain't my final destination.
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all, thank ye kindly, Ghetto.
Never thought you'd end up a prison convict.
That right. I always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben Mest. Your kind always hung closest.
I spent my life singing for my slaves to bring me my supper. Finer fare than boiled roots and rotten tubers, too. Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat behind this very wall. The indignity.
Well, well, what have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell. Let's size you up, shall we? See if you...
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching horse. All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
There's some discoloration, but I've seen worse. After all, one can't expect to find prime merchandise on a squalid little ship like this. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook? Ah, music to my beleaguered stomach. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor? Yes, well, I'll count that as a no, shall I? On then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after. The very basics, then. I suppose that's a start?
Never thought you'd end
So, 3 questions asked, 3 questions answered. Let's evaluate, shall we? As per your own testimony, you can cook and groom, but you have the fashion sense of a monkey in a clown suit. Still, beggars can't be choosers. So without further ado, I offer you my sincerest congratulations. As of now, you are my slave. My slave, of course. Oh, but I see. Yes, I suppose it must take some time for the full extent of this honor to sink in. Anyway, you may leave me for a moment. We'll go over your duties once we reach...
One of us would kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
The elf is reading a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia. He looks up, his big round eyes scanning your body, absorbing every detail. He reaches out and examines your face, tugging at your ears and prodding your nose.
Fascinating.
He sits back and returns to his book, flicking quickly from page to page, completely oblivious to your presence.
I am not as brittle as all that, young lady. My fingers will hardly... Although perhaps you mean... Oh dear. I seem to have crossed some cultural taboo. How... difficult. You have my apologies, fellow elf. Perhaps I should demand the same from those red-cloaked humans. They laid their hands on me more than once. Ah, yes. The niceties. My name is Fane. I am a scholar from... Well, I am a seeker of knowledge. That is enough. It is pleasurable to meet you. Is there? Wherever do you keep it? Certainly not in your books. I have been reading this one for several minutes, and I have yet to find a single insight into the mysteries of the universe. It is simultaneously too detailed and insufficient. I know the beginning of this tale and the end, but I am rather missing. Tell me, what do you know of our world's history? Most unusual. And if it's not too rude to suggest, not much of an answer. No, I want to know about the Celestial. I want to know about your gods. This text tells me that they created all creatures, but nothing of what came before. Where did these gods come from? Who are their people? Where are the others of their kind? Of course you don't have any useful information. Now please, run along. I have a world to decipher.
No amount of pestering will get the elf to take his eyes off his...
Why won't you sing?
A scruffy man lounges against the wall with scarred arms folded. A sly smile playing on his face, he stares across at the Magister guarding him. Noticing you, he straightens and beckons for you to come closer.
Watch your back, new fish. There's a murderer on board, and I'd bet 3 months' pay it's this tramp Ifan.
Rolling his eyes at the Magister's warning, the man named Ifan beckons again. He leans in and adjusts your collar with a sharp tug, balancing its weight so it no longer presses unpleasantly on your neck. He
pinches less that way, right?
Hocking a phlegmy gobbet in your general direction, the sullen Magister settles back to his task of glowering at Ifan. And now, you.
We used to know each other, more's the pity. I was his commander many, many, many moons ago. Isn't that right, Vic?
Standing far back from Ifan, the tight-faced Magister draws one finger across his throat in an elaborate fashion, but says nothing. Ifan grins, flashing pointed white teeth.
Same as he was at 14 years old. Only difference is somebody gave him a bigger sword, and now he's Johnny Big Pants. Long story. Maybe I'll tell you about it in the Joy. Away from interested parties. No. The dead man, Finn, is it? I'd no business with him. And I wouldn't put a man down without good reason.
He glances over at Magister Victor, who's staring back at him with pointed intensity.
Damn shame sheer annoyance isn't reason enough. The Joy, I've heard a lot. Nothing good. No surprise there, since Bishop Alexander runs the show. Wonder if we'll get to meet the Ringmaster himself. Easy now. I might think the same, but Vic here will blow a blood vessel if he hears you talking like that.
What are you conspiring about over there? You, elf, what's your name?
Oh, don't mind him. Vic's just got a bee in his bonnet. And that bee is me.
Name?
Magister Victor looks at you suspiciously, then scrawls something illegible down in a tiny notebook. He scowls at you.
Away with you. At once.
Ifan performs an elaborate pantomime of keeping quiet, one finger in front of his lips as he leans back against the wall.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing...
Here's the register, ma'am. Good, good. Magister Williams has just about done with the last... You faring okay so far?
I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't...
Glad to hear it. You head on in now, William.
There has been a murder, Your Majesty. If that has the Magister's more concerned than your appetite.
You seem on edge, officer.
Standing at the center of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella?
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God, the woman's mad. You there, sorcerer, go and fetch Magister Siwan. We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
It means your journey draws to a close. Do stick around for its finale, though, because...
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, men, quickly! If she casts Source, the Voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
What's happened?
What happened? Water?
The lizard's eyes... The dwarf lies in a heap on the floor. His... Ifan lies motionless. Curled, his eyes flicker open, but he doesn't register your presence at all. Ifan cries out, then his eyes fall closed again. No matter how much you shake him now, he cannot be roused. The young woman lies in a heap on the floor. She doesn't stir. Magister lies on the... As the dead man's flesh slides down your throat, you feel his consciousness enter yours. His memories are yours to experience. You are Finn. Your heart is heavy. You know too much. It's all too much. You met him. A bright light blinds you, then fades. You feel a tremendous power in your hands, but they are shaking so hard you can barely use them. Suddenly you're on this very ship, crouched in a corner, hugging your knees. A figure approaches, an older woman. Her eyes are kind. She comes closer. She says she wants to talk. She reaches a hand toward you. You grasp it. The memories end. You are no longer Finn. You return to yourself.
Not long before this thing snaps into splinters. That doesn't bode well. Onwards and upwards.
Gods. By divine grace, who was that?
He eyes the collar circling your neck and reach...
Another sorcerer! Even if I knew how to rip that thing off, I wouldn't. Some crazy banshee comes screaming through, and now we got void bugs swarming up top. Saw it coming, I did. Sorcerer mutiny. Your lies end...
Not long before this thing snaps into splinters.
Thank gods!
He eyes the...
Another sorcerer! Like you don't know? Mutiny! Did that witch fix your collar too? Curdled my blood when she appeared. Ship shook like a typhoon and in the mutiny and...
Alexander, the boy bishop that would rule the world. Oh, the folly of youth. Need to get off this wreck, and quick.
on the hull.
Was painted recently, judging from its pungent. You press your palm against the door to open it. The wood feels neither cold nor warm, but simply it doesn't budge.
To get out of here. Now! By the gods, I need to get off this ship. a chance.
Shut your trap, kid. Children and dwarfs first, just like the elves.
The dwarf yanks at one of the nearby ropes, to no avail.
Said there were other people down there. We need to help them.
You see those tentacles, kid? It's time for getting the hell out of here.
Thank you. There's a ladder right over there.
You're gonna be the death of us, you hear? Had to open your big mouth, didn't you?
Never need something.
The Magister lies on...
If you can walk, get yourself up the ladder. There's a wait. Voidwoken!
These beardless bugs would sink the ship on my watch.
I thought Voidwoken was supposed to be scary.
They who are about to triumph salute
Never need something.
If you can walk, get yourself... There's a wait. Voidwoken!
These beardless bugs would sink the ship on my watch.
They who are about to triumph salute
I've faced worse.
I thought Voidwoken was supposed to be scary. We make a pretty good team.
Here's something. It's...
She tries to speak, but can only gape as she clutches her neck, trying to stem the bleeding of a gushing wound. With jagged movements, she raises her clenched fist and holds out a length of cloth, soaked with some kind of strong-smelling blood, quickly soaks through the cloth. Magister Siwan's mouth opens and closes, her eyes wide in terror. It's working. The pressure is stemming the flow of blood. Siwan clutches your arm. Something within the ship snaps. The floorboards shudder. Siwan struggles to her feet, clinging to you tightly. The ship lets out a deep groan, then cracks.
Gods. It's ripping the ship apart. This is it. She's going down.
I have plans for you, child. Rise.
Honorable Dallas, we lost a ship sailing sorcerer prisoners to Fort Joy. We assume some escaped and broke their collars. Their vile magic lured the Voidwoken. All who were aboard are presumed dead. Yours faithfully into eternity, High Judge Oriven.
I've danced with death before, but that was a particularly intimate waltz. I suppose I'm the lone survivor. How jolly. Brachus Rex, ruler to some, tyrant to others, long dead to all.
The child has a small mirror in his hands. He holds it up at angles, inspecting his eyes, his chin, the crown of his head. He spots you, and his arms snap to his sides.
I'm not supposed to talk to elves. Pa told me elves and lizards and dwarves bring bad guys. Void guys. That's right, isn't it? I guess I'm a sorcerer too. That's why I'm here, right? And you too?
The child screws up his face and looks at you hard. He lifts his mirror up to his nose, closes one eye, and looks at himself again.
I don't see any sauce on you or me. I guess they're wrong or crazy. No one cares where I go. They know I can't leave the island. It's nicer out here than inside anyway. They're gone now. The Magisters took them already. I guess now they're cured. And maybe they're waiting for me back at home. But you didn't die. I guess I am, but it's just normal to be scared. Nowhere isn't scary. There isn't anywhere safer. That's what I mean. You'll see.
Voidwoken. Those are the same beasts that sank our ship. Damn, they made it to shore.
You spot a strange lizard gazing over the water with a steady, malcontent stare. His skin is of a bright, blood-red color. Could he be... Yes, you recognize him from the ship. It would seem you're not the only one who survived the tentacles of the deep. The lizard turns about with the graceful ease of a dancer, or a duelist. You lock eyes with his, two smouldering embers that sizzle your very soul.
No, I do not. Then again, I don't belong to the House of Dreams. I'm a prince of the House of War, a house you seem to be all too familiar with, judging by that rather fetching mark on your cheek. I have not. But how fortuitous it is indeed for a slave girl to walk on by and confirm a dreamer's presence on this isle. Now that you've served your purpose, though, you and I have a problem. You've clearly relinquished your duties by running away from your rightful master, a crime punishable by death. No, I suppose they don't. Which is why I've no intention of carrying out the death sentence that I should. Besides, you did come back for me and all those others on a sinking ship after all. What do you say we bury the hatchet, you and I? For now, at least. Good, very good. I'm glad you're being so sensible. Glad I...
He sighs dramatically.
Tell me, what do you see when you cast your glance over this ocean? Judging by the dark pools that are your eyes, I'd say you're seeing yourself.
He looks out over the water once more, and so do you. A few tranquil moments pass as the waves lap against your thoughts.
As for myself, when I consider this vast expanse before us, I see an empire. I see continents dotted with mighty cities, and shimmering along the soft curve of the sea's horizon, I picture the palaces that formed my paradise. Lost. What do you mean, what do I mean? I mean just what I say. I had a very actual empire that I lost.
Suddenly, having all the air of being deeply offended, he stares at you with utter incredulity.
Well, don't just stand there gawking like an ape at an abacus. I already told you I'm a prince. Do you mean to tell me you don't know who I am? The very same. I am the Red Prince, the All-Conqueror, the World-Tamer, the Spouse of the Sun. Of course you know me.
There's a brief moment's pause, during which his grandiloquent pose deflates ever so slightly.
That said, I suppose I must own up to the fact that I find myself rather in between all-conquering and world-taming opportunities at the moment. The grandeur that is my fate has hit a bit of a snag. But never you worry. For the throne I was destined, and my throne I shall have. Truly. A kind offer indeed. And you've already proven to be trustworthy enough. You came back for the others on that ship, after all. Fine, I accept. On one condition. For reasons I'll not disclose right now, it is imperative that I should meet with a dreamer, one of the mystics of my kind. I've reason to believe one of them may be present on this island, most likely the same chap you're looking for. Promise me we'll find him, and I'll extend you the blessing of my company. You do tend to beat around the bush, don't you? Oh well, that wishy-washy answer will have to do then. So, now that that's settled, first things first. Even if you are as versed in the art of eloquence as I am, that our swords will be doing a lot of the talking from here on out goes without saying. As a born fighter, I prefer the perfection of the blade myself. But I'm well acquainted with the secrets of magic, and yes, even subterfuge. What say you? Very well. Onwards, then, to victory or death.
The Red Prince nods and gives you a smile that wavers ever so delicately between courtesy and
Now, as you're aware, you'll be travelling with a prince. Proper forms of address include Your Majesty, Your Royal Highness, or if you're feeling particularly frivolous, Milord. As your luck would have it, I seem to be fresh out of luggage, so you won't be required to carry my belongings. Of course, there are other forms of protocol to bear in mind, but I'll see to it you'll pick up... A black cat. A herald of wisdom in my homeland. How fortuitous. What's this? I found one must put in due effort if one is to reap the proper reward. I am not opposed to manual labor if circumstances require.
Magister Jalen from the ship. I would have chosen a swifter death for him myself.
Deplorable surrounding for an agreeable conversation, but go ahead. I intend to rule an empire one day, not a tiny outcropping in the sea, lording over gulls and guppy fish. To that end, I suggest we focus on the obvious. A farewell to Fort Joy and a hello to the mainland. Of course, I'd much appreciate it if we managed to find a dreamer first. There was a small incident which prompted my many rivals to move against me. Technically, they had the letter of the law on their side. Such a nuisance, the law. Quite necessary to keep the common in line, of course, but one such as myself it should exempt as a matter of course. What I meant was that, being authority, I shouldn't be under any thumb. I had thought that was perfectly obvious. Sadly, that enlightened point of view quite clearly turned out to be academic. If not, we wouldn't be having this very conversation. I hardly know you as yet. Let's leave some mystery in the relationship, shall we? We can exchange criminal records later. There isn't much to say, but for the fact that I simply must. It's the portent of it all. I can feel it. The revelation will be world-changing. I just know it. And justified it is too. You'll be a witness to wonders, I assure you. As certain as the sun, such is my conviction. I will be, then grow beyond being. As am I. A prince should die of old age or on the battlefield. Anything else could be construed as weakness of character. That said, I've the distinct feeling I wasn't meant to die today, for despite your heroics, I was still cast into the water. I sank. I drowned. But there was something in the water. A voice made of air that soothed my flooding lungs. There was sudden light, warmth, life. Truly, how intriguing. To hear a voice whilst drowning is a rather specific delusion to share, is it not? Still, I wonder if...
He hesitates.
Are you a religious person? A pity. Religious persons tend to be all too self-important in their supposed humility. As for myself, I perform the ancient rites of prayer and ceremony with a kind of languid indulgence. After all, when one is revered by many as a living god oneself, public deprecation would be needlessly self-important as well, wouldn't you say?
Shall I put this one? Hey, mister. It's a lot nicer here than that stinking boat, huh? I'm sure glad some of the others made it out alive too. Saw one of them...
Now speak. I am a proud lawyer to the Order. I will not dream of subvert. Stay back, sorcerer, and stay silent. Our Godwoken speaks.
We know you've been helping sorcerers escape, Atusa. We have proof.
I'd sooner cut my tongue out than lie to you, Alexander. I know nothing of any escapees.
If you can tell the Godwoken no more, your tongue is of no use.
This can't be serious, Alexander.
You should know by now to obey your superior, Magister, whatever she may ask.
Stay silent!
Atusa pinches the tip of her tongue with 2 fingers and brings her dagger to its root. Her eyes squeeze shut. Drops of blood form against the...
Stop! My father, may his soul rest in peace, would be disappointed in you, Atusa. To think you would lie to his only son, your bishop, and your friend these many years. The fate of our realm hangs in the balance. If you will not help us save it, then you will help the Void destroy... Dallas?
Yes, Your Holiness?
I believe we're done.
What a waste. Come, we'll be needed elsewhere. Come on, old man. I can't wait all day. Come on, old man. I can't wait all day.
Come on then, Lexi. Lay up.
I find I need bread. I want no trouble.
Bread or brisket, goes the same.
Your grift teaches you to bully others. Pathetic.
You keep his name out of your mouth, you filthy cunt chewer.
Have your cud.
Disgusting, just like all your kind.
Disgusting like theft. Disgusting like threats.
Is that indigestion, or is it... Oh, God, not now. Hey, I know you.
I find I need bread. I want no trouble.
Bread or brisket.
Losa, the dark-eyed jokester you met aboard the ship, waves enthusiastically and dips into a mock elegant curtsy.
You keep his name out of your mouth, you filthy cunt chewer.
Have your cud.
Disgusting, just like all your kind.
Back then, I was... Madame Sibylle, right? Nothing like a nice tentacle slap across the moor to set the tone for the week, eh? How'd you escape? Me too. Did you hear something? I heard the same... Do you know what this means? It means I'm not...
Losa's voice catches in her throat. The joy drains from her face. Her eyes lose focus, and her whole body goes rigid. She is stock-still, waxy-skinned, her eyes dark. Greyish-black veins run from her eyes down her cheeks. Her head snaps to you mechanically, and her eyes lock with yours. Dark pupils dilated into great black. Light suddenly flashes back into her face. The grey veins drain to pinkish flesh, and her whole body relaxes.
Anyway, what were we talking about? Ah, it's nothing really. It's just... I'm just a bit... well, a bit... hospitable? Put it like this. You've never been a host, I bet. That's because you're an infested clump of leaves on the side of the road. That ain't bad, though. I'd give just about anything to be like you. But I'm a roadside inn. Red door, flowers out front, friendly lady at the door beckoning you in for half price. Like a goddamn gold star inn for the disembodied. Now, isn't that just the question of the hour? I can't be sure just yet. I'll be surprised if it's a demon. Definitely not a sprite either. Maybe a spectre, but I wouldn't bet money on it. So, how are you enjoying the joy? Yeah, same story here. Reckon in my case, they might actually be right, though. So, you want to check this place out together? Strength in numbers and all that. It does, right? Before we head out, I've got more than a few tricks up my sleeve, so you'll have to... Lately I've been into the enchanting arts, but I can shoot, slash, summon, steal, whatever your little black heart desires. So, what'll it be? Sounds fine. So, we're good to go? Yeah? Well, that was easier than I thought, and I'll do my best to stay myself. Lead the way.
Just like all your kind.
Disgusting like theft. Disgusting like threats.
Right, God. Will you quit dragging this on? Ain't that hard, Lexi. Just hand over the gold.
Will source change back?
You there. You've just arrived, isn't that right? Are you...
when another divine rises, will source change back? What if there are no sources?
Daniel, this is full
Delivery.
joy.
Surely you'll have one.
What a crumbling disaster.
Scram. Snake face. Don't tell anyone. Where's the raw rations, please?
It's just... In that case, listen up. You must think me mad to approach a stranger, but this camp is full of cowards and I'm running out of time. Fast. Too fast. Way too fast. I've been here a long time. Longer than anyone else. People, I have a way out of here. It won't be... Are you interested? Atta girl. Who wouldn't? The plan's simple. Completely foolproof. I have a spell that I can use to teleport you right out of here. I can't use it on myself, but with your help, we can... There's an artifact that you can use to teleport me out of this place. Then I can use my spell to free you in turn. This item, though, it's in quite an unfortunate location. It's found its way into a nest of crocodilians on a secluded beach nearby. Here, give me a map and I'll show you where to go. Not enough to trouble get that artifact.